Hey y'all. I don't really think December is going to be a big month stacked with new doll releases, which is why I thought, hey, why not do a dolly wrap-up video with my personal top 10 doll moments of 2022. Looking back, 2022 is kind of like a peak year for dolls, building on the groundwork laid in the previous 3 years and really solidifying fashion dolls as one of the most important products in the toy aisles. So this isn't gonna be just a countdown of certain doll releases, it's more like general doll things that were exciting or infuriating enough to be remembered by me. And yes, there are probably tons of things I might have missed mentioning here, but hey, that's what the comment section is all about, so please check in with me and let me know all the great doll related stuff that you have loved or hated about the past year that I might have forgot about. So let's get into this top 10, shall we? Coming in at number 10, bless her heart for trying. I feel like Barbie was coming out of a bit of a rough year. 2021 was the year that MGA had the entire doll community in a chokehold and Barbie was running out of breath trying to keep up. The last set of extra dolls Mattel released then were probably among the worst designs the entire series had offered us thus far. The release of the extra minis were a true WTF moment. The haphazard availability of both the Looks and Rewind dolls annoyed consumers, and on the collector side of things, we had the release of Barbie Style Dolls number 2 and number 3, both of which we could all agree on were the literal definition of meh. So did things change in 2022? Well, yeah, I do believe so. I don't know what behind the scenes reshuffling at Team Barbie might have caused a ruckus, but the extra dolls we got this year were the strongest ones since the initial launch 2 years ago. Barbie came out with one of her most iconic looks in maybe decades with the extra fancy release. The promo images and pics snapped by paparazzi for the Barbie movie had the fanbase in frenzy, and #BarbieCore invaded the entire mainstream fashion and cosmetics industry. Barbie clawed her way back into relevancy with a passion we hadn't seen the brand having in maybe over a decade. And I'm slowly starting to get curious to see what she's going to do for the next year, so I'd say good for you, Barbara Millicent Roberts. Good for you. Coming in at number 9, stop trying to make your doll line happen, it's not going to happen. With popularity comes a lot of bandwagon jumping, and as fashion dolls have risen in popularity, everyone wants to make some coin by putting out a subpar product of questionable quality and design, thinking it's going to be successful only by sheer force of marketing push and not because of the merit of the doll line itself. And yes, the more the merrier, as competition is what's best for us consumers. And we do not really want a doll monopoly here, or we're back in 1992, and the only available options on doll shelves were either Barbie or clones looking like Barbie. Plus, it's always cute to look back on doll lines that came out and were just a blip on the radar, but offered something unique that even years later we would go, remember them? What's not cute is when you think that by pouring money all over content creators on DollTube, Dollstagram, Doll TikTok and Doll Twitter, you're going to be able to buy your way into relevancy when your dolls are just not hitting the mark. And it would have been a wiser decision to pour the money into bettering your product instead. And yes, there might be enough victims out there who are willing enough to share your product no matter how ghastly it is. But that won't make doll fans buy into trash dolls. Dolls we're going to find in bargain bins at 5 and below 6 months from now. Next. Now on to something that I do appreciate and want to see more of. At number 8, Naturalistas 8. Enough said. It's gotten a rare thing to see a doll line come out and have it feel like the people involved in the making of it have made an effort to put something out that they can be proud of. The approach taken with Naturalistas isn't a condescending, the kids are gonna eat up whatever crap we throw at them because they don't know better. No, it's a carefully crafted doll line made with an ambition that maybe exceeded its budget, but also made with a lot of respect for the consumer, not treating them as a brain-dead Walmart shopper, but someone with the smarts to get what they're going for, and I truly appreciate that. From the sleek packaging design to the smart write-up on the back of each box to the dolls and fashions themselves that give grown-up glamour that can appeal to kids and adults alike, the Naturalistas launch has been a total home run for me. Then there's something I want to see less of. At number 7, badly made nostalgia baiting. What separates us from previous generations is the fact that our entire past is one mouse click away, giving us the opportunity to relive it over and over again, which can be exhilarating and depressing at the same time. Yes, we live in the age of nostalgia, and that's not gonna change. Whether we actually lived through the glory years we romanticize or wish we did despite being too young to have experienced it in the first place doesn't matter. Now, what I do not appreciate are no effort made cash-ins on this type of nostalgia. I'm talking doll repros, social media posts done with no care or knowledge of the era they're posting about,
80s roller skating Barbie,
NANI?!
and brand diversification made by a team of people who might have done one Google search to look up the doll line and went go. If you're trying to bank on nostalgia, make an effort, please. Next up at number 6, scalpers can go choke, literally. I've been part of the retro video game community for many years, so reselling wasn't a new thing to me. The last few years have really amped it up though, thanks to a certain pandemonium going on in the world. And I don't have a problem with people who are part of the doll community taking this on as a profession and going on hunts to flea markets, thrift stores and garage sales and reselling stuff at a higher price online that other people really want but do not have any access to, as it would reimburse the time, effort and gas money spent to pick the doll up. What really gets on my nerves though is when the whole thing turns professional, with people who have no interest in dolls recommending one another what hot item to scalp, how big the margins are gonna be, and what bot to use to crash the system. And yes, greedy companies like Mattel are just as shady to not put an end to this by adding certain measures that would prevent people from buying dozens of an item to resell on eBay. But Mattel knows by not doing this, they have a guarantee to get rid of their entire stock in a second. And the reseller has the gamble of having to possibly sit on hundreds of dolls that might not end up being as popular as they had hoped. Because at the end of the day, scalping is also speculating. And the less we have FOMO and stop buying from them, the more they burn their fingers in this game and ignore dolls and continue to scalp Nike Air Jordans and PlayStation 5s instead. The number 5 spot is the comeback of the year. I don't think any of us believed that Mattel had it in them, but they somehow pulled off the unimaginable, rebooting Monster High and doing it successfully. Not only were they able to bring the ghouls into the here and now, they did it in a way that was able to please both longtime fans as well as new ones. And I know there is a vocal minority out there bashing the reboot into the ground, but I feel like the general consensus of the majority agrees that Gen 3 is a solid doll line that respects its roots yet stands on its own without having to fear the shadow of its predecessor. The way the ghouls were able to ignite passion and creativity in the doll community was something I hadn't anticipated for the brand, knowing Mattel's track record. So kudos to them, they really did the damn thing. But with that said, and I'm probably gonna get so much heat for the next spot on my ranking, it's a little bit amusing, not gonna lie, how the entire community has gaslit themselves into liking this hideous release. And no, I'm not talking about the Addison Rae dolls here. The award for the ugliest doll release of the year goes to, I'm so sorry, Haute Couture Laguna Blue. It's actually quite fascinating how much went wrong here. It starts off with the shoes, continues on with those socks, then we have the crinkly 80s Barbie paper fabric mermaid dress, the PVC jacket, and Laguna herself with that disheveled side pony of hers. Like, it's so hodgepodge, none of the colors used are pleasing to the eye. Why would a designer come up with a concept? Why would it be greenlit? And how is it possible people think it's okay to get charged a collector's premium for this? Questions I might never get answers to. Ah well. Rounding off my top 3, the level of excellence, far too much. If we just leave our personal taste behind for a sec and put on our objective glasses and judge dolls by characteristics of quality and design, there's no other playline release this year that was able to top Shadow High. Sure, I myself have one doll line I prefer, which is coming up at number 1, but from the core series of 6 dolls to the release of the twins and the Ainsley Slater trunk show, Shadow High delivered. Not only were the dolls of a high caliber that was deeply underappreciated by the mainstream consumer, the way they were introduced to us and the hype they generated hadn't been seen up until that point yet, and for that alone, I'm really happy we got to have them. But there was a caveat adjacent to this, which leads us to number 2. Please God, make it stop. As amazing as the Series 1 of Shadow High was, as atrociously bad their season of Rainbow High the animated series was this year, I don't think it was a smart choice to put the entire focus of the season on the competition aspect of Rainbow Vision, as all the character interactions and drama was swept up in a whirlwind of stage performances and the agonizingly long wait between each episode as the season was getting dragged out like a fight gets dragged out in Dragon Ball Z. It just went on and on and on and on. A lot of cute bops though. Great gowns, beautiful gowns. And now a drum roll please for my personal number 1 fashion doll moment of 2022. Why y'all gagging? They bring it to you every single time. I don't know what it is about the doll community, but I feel like way too many people take the best fashion doll line we have on the market right now for granted. Even 3 years after the initial launch, the OMG reign won't let up, and they're still in their bangers era, releasing hit after hit after hit. They kicked the year off with a bang as the Queen's release was fantastic, from the core dolls to the Splash Beauty fashion set and the accompanying music video for Party All Around the World. It was a great way to start off 2022, which in the future might be seen as a vintage year for LOL Surprise, the same way some might say that Bratz peaked in 2004. A year that kept on giving with multiple lines of adorable tweens and culminated in the release of Fashion Show, bringing it full circle and crowning our BBs as the official heir to the fashion doll throne and legacy left behind by Bratz. Get into it. I hope you enjoyed watching this wrap up of 2022. If you like doll content, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Leave a like, comment down below, and we might catch each other in my next video. Bye for now.